Hey everybody, welcome back to the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. I'm your host, GordoGambles. Welcome back to another full card breakdown. This time for UFC Paris. We are across the pond breaking down another card in France, a second ever card happening in France. And of course, to do so, we had to bring on the big guns. Now, we've been talking about this for a while. For those who don't know, I am someone who studied in French. That is my learned language there. And you know what better way to break down all these French fun names than with my main French man himself, my buddy here, Dravhy, coming in, first-time friend of the show, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to talk some UFC Paris. How are we doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, bro. Thanks for having me. It's going to be a great card. Can't wait to talk about it.
Perfect. And you know what? You're legit French. I'm franco-ontarien. My accent isn't there. No one really knows. If I mess up any of these names, you can make sure to correct me on them because there's a lot of French prospects, a lot of fighters where we had to do our research on. But before we dive into that, tell everybody a bit about yourself. I know you got a new 3-person panel you're doing online. I know you get a lot of early breakdowns out there. Plug your stuff, and then we're going to dive into the fun stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate it, brother. So yeah, you can find me on Twitter. It's the Dravy_, but also you can find the Be the Line broadcast on Twitter. It's a space we do, me and Pegasus Picks and K3 Picks. We break down the fights as a betting perspective each week, each Wednesday. So we do it daily. We beat the line on a constantly basic. So we want to help people do the same and just talk about the fights, having fun. So you can follow Beat the Line broadcast. And yeah, you can also follow me on BetMMA tips to follow my bets. Everything's free. So yeah.
There we go. Like you mentioned, betting though, right? Like I'm a primary DraftKings guy. I did my DraftKings video early in the week, pre-recorded, timestamp. Check that out after the fact. But right now we are talking betting aspect. I'll cover everything there. In order to do so, let's pull up the odds here because we do have ourselves some fights to talk about. There they are. Let's dive into it. Like I mentioned, a lot of fights that were, let's say, required some extra research. You know, some fighters we're not so familiar with. Let's try to get the edge that way. Starting with the very first fight of the night, we have the UFC newcomer, Jacqueline Cavalcanti versus Zara Farron, who is herself someone who has fought in the UFC before. Maybe not the most illustrious record, sitting at 0-3 right now, but someone who we at least have some data on. This is a 140-pound catch weight. It's one that is going to be interesting to see if Zara Farron shows up and makes weight on time, but it is one where we do have a very, very hefty favorite in the newcomer Cavalcanti. It'll be wrong with me starting off the breakdown on my own. Let's let my guest do it here. How do you see this fight going down?
I think it's going to be a banger. I'm not going to lie, because we know at this point what we're going to get with Zara Farron. Like, she's not a good fighter, but she did go for it in her last fight. I just have to give her credit for that. She went all in the first round. But she was fighting a much smaller guy, like a much smaller girl. So it's not going to be the case in this one. And I was thinking about passing on this fight. But when I watched Jacqueline tapes, I was kind of impressed. I'm not going to lie. I like her striking a lot. I think she's fast, she's technical. And she's not like heavy wrestling or anything. But I've seen her get on top and get some takedowns also on the original. So that's something I love to have against a girl like Farron, because we know our ground game's a big zero. Like, she has nothing on the ground, and she's 39 years old. Gordo, I think it's not good. It's not gonna be anything better. She's 0-3, I think, in the UFC, and yeah, I think they're building up this girl Jacqueline because she looks solid on the regional. I love her striking. I love her speed. I love her power. I think she can have a good career in the UFC. I'm not gonna lie. And in this fight, I think one takedown and it can be the fight. I like her ground and pound. So, like I said, I see this fight being violence. And with the way Farron fought last time out, I don't think it's going to be different. Fighting at home and being 39, she's going to go all in the first round. And she's either going to get a finish or get finished after. I don't like her cardio. She's quite big, and yeah, that's about it. So I like Cavalcanti better. I like her cardio. I like her striking. I've seen her hurt once on the original, but she got that dog in her. You know, I love to see that. So what I did here, Gordo, I played the under 2.5 at plus 100. Okay. I think it's a very good bet. And I also play Cavalcanti KO plus 200 small. But yeah, I love this. I think with the style of matchup and just a Sarah Farron fight in general, under is never a bad bet, in my opinion.
Hey, I don't blame you. She's finished inside the distance or been finished inside the distance in 2 of her 3 performances so far. Quickly want to shout out here. Craig saying he came to see us from Dana White Contender Series. Thank you for tuning in, and hopefully we're able to give you some good insight because we're on a bit of a streak with Dana White Contender Series. But what's funny enough, and the reason I brought up that comment is because this fight kind of reminds me a bit of a Dana White Contender Series fight, right? When we have this debutant, when we have people who are making their debut in this card, there's a lot of research that has to be done. We don't know how they fare against a better level of competition, and although it's harder to call Zara Farron the better level of competition, she's someone who's been there, done that. She's someone who's going to be the larger fighter here who has some decent size. And although she's older, is someone who at least has the experience of the octagon. And Cavalcanti is not necessarily someone we can rely on doing so. With that being said, there's no debate who should be the favorite here, right? Farron has a discrepancy or let's say an issue with not only her striking defense, but majority her takedown defense and her cardio. She can be taken down. She can be beaten a lot of those places. And although she looks like she's making the proper training regiments with Khamzat Chimaev, which a lot of these other guys, at 39 years old, we don't know how much of an impact that's going to have here. And that takedown defense is a glaring hole in her game. What I like from Cavalcanti is she is super aggressive. She will go forward. She'll crash into the pocket, look for takedowns. And that is something that I think will have some decent success in that own right. But truly, I do think the line is a bit wide just because of the aggression that Farron comes out with. In her last matchup against Josiane Nunes, I mean, she attempted 90 strikes in the very first round, landed 48 of them for a 53% accuracy, and I think that she does have some decent pop to the end of her punches to be able to possibly hurt Cavalcanti. Now, is that something you can rely on at a high clip? No, it's not something that I necessarily want to go out there and bet on, but if we're looking at playing either Cavalcanti inside the distance or an under, go the under, because I do think Farron has fight any potential. I think her win condition is rooted largely in a first-round finish, and it's not something that's going to happen very likely, but considering her aggression, considering her decent power and the way she likes to start her fights, also considering the fact that she averages a good amount of strikes, over 5.8 strikes landed per minute, it is someone who can have some decent aggression and score well that way. So to me, a decently fun fight despite the poor name value, and one where I might get with you on the under 2.5 rounds because it is something that looks pretty intriguing. I think it's either Farron early, which is a very small win condition, or Cavalcanti will take over late. All right, we'll move on to the next one. Before we do so, shout out people here. Anthony saying, catch another live. Thank you for tuning in. And he asked you if you have your own YouTube channel, my friend. If you do, let me know because I will update it in the bio down or description down below.
Yeah, it's all good. I don't have any yet. Everything's on Twitter, Twitter Spaces, on Be the Line Broadcast, but I don't have my own YouTube yet.
Hey, well, it allows me to get you on as a guest, which is great. The Twitter is linked down below. Be sure to check that out as well. And then our man Lou Betcha, one handsome man, my legitimate. Hey, I appreciate you, Dad. Yeah, I thank you. That's why I moved to the States, guys. That's why I'm in America now. And shout out to Fight Talk also. So I appreciate everybody hanging out in the chat. 80 of you going on. Let's hope we get those numbers up. Hit the like button down below. Subscribe to the channel. Let's move on to the very next fight of the night, and it is another interesting one where we do not have a French prospect, but we do have the 10-0 Farid Basra versus the 8-2 Kletzin Rodriguez. Now, I let Dravy take over the last one. I'll take over this one here. We do have ourselves another very hefty favorite, and one where you kind of understand why, right? You have the guy, Kletzin Rodriguez, who's a large underdog, but who's also coming up in weight, facing an undefeated prospect who hasn't really shown many signs of let's say, regression here. He's done very well. He has a very well-rounded skill set, very good striker, showed some good submission ability and grappling success last time in his last couple of bouts, and without any blemishes on his record, it's hard to count against him. Kletzin Rodriguez, though, is a guy who I think is really talented, man. He showed that against Shannon Ross last time. It's not something that looked too good against CJ Vergara, but I do think he has all the tools. Very good, competent striker, a lot of power in his hands as well, and he has that ability to grapple down the stretch as well. Now, CJ Vergara, maybe that because that was some UFC octagon jitters to start or something like that, but he didn't look great in that matchup, and that was a matchup at 125. He's making this move up in weight, and although I think he is a talented striker and at size parity, he could have some success, there is a huge lack of physicality here for Kletzin Rodriguez, which is just leaning me more towards the side of Farid Basra. Do I want to play Farid Basra at minus 360? Not necessarily, but I do think he wins this fight at a pretty high clip, considering the fact that not only is the striking exchange going to be competitive, but Basra has the ability to mix up takedowns, be the more dominant physical striker along the cage. I do think he does win this fight. It's just, I don't know if there's any props I want to target. It seems like everything is lined around where it should be. This seems like a pass fight for me. Dravy, do you have a betting angle on this when you're looking to target, or do you see it as more a pass fight as well?
Yeah, I think the line now is accurate. I don't see any value, but I did parlay Basra early, minus 275. I think that was a good parlay piece at this number. At minus 350, like I said, I think it's accurate, but I would not play him at this number, just the way it should be. But yeah, the wrestling, the grappling upside is just massive to me, and he's going to be the bigger guy, the stronger guy. I think Basharat's a legit. People kind of hating on him a little bit just because his last fight was not as good as what people might think it will be, but he was fighting Blackshear, and we know Blackshear is legit now. I was not very high on Blackshear coming into the UFC, but he has shown to be a very good fighter. So this win was a good win for him. That was also his UFC debut. So if anything, he's going to look better in that fight. But he's taking a step down in competition against a smaller guy. So I think he's going to look better. And yeah, I love his striking. I love his footwork, the way he switch stances. He's pretty good defensively. But where he shine is his grappling, his wrestling, and that's where Rodriguez has problem. Like his takedown defense is not very good, and he was not very a strong guy. He was big for 125, but he was not very strong. Like CJ Vergara was able to take him down pretty easily, get on top. That was not a good look to me. And also, he kind of slowed down into the fight. Like he used to get very tired in the third round against this in the CJ fight. And yeah, but I like his striking. I think he's talented, but the problem is he's kind of doing some spinning kicks, spinning back fists, and everything. And it's just going to give a lot of opening for Basharat to just take him down. And on top, he's going to dominate the fight. I think he's pretty light for a finish also. But I don't really like Rodriguez moving up a weight class. He used to be a bully at 125. Now he's going to be pretty average for 135. And yeah, if CJ Vergara can ragdoll him like that, like Basharat's going to, yeah, he's going to do bad things to him on the ground, I think. And also, we all talk about his power. Like he has power. He's dangerous. But if you look the guy he beat on the contender, he won a decision in that fight, right? This guy was he was 6-1 when he fight with Rodriguez. He's now 6-4, and he has been KO'd 3 times, two times after the Rodriguez fight. So I don't think Rodriguez is as good as a finisher as what people think. Like he used to win decision more than he get finishes, and I don't think it's gonna change up a weight class. So I like Basharat, and I also like his body shots, like the way he goes to the body. And CJ Vergara hurts. He did hurt Rodriguez with body shot. I can see the same happening here. I can see a late finish. If anything, at this number, I think the KO prop for Basharat is a good look, and I think that the round 3 prop is also a good one. But I did play Basharat minus 275 in a parlay.
Okay, yeah. To me, it's like I do rate Kletzen Rodriguez is a decent fighter, right? I do think he has a very well-rounded skill set. I think he has the opportunity to win some fights even at this weight class. But when we're comparing these fighters side by side and we're looking at the win condition for Rodriguez, nothing really lines up, right? The fighter who I think has the sharper, rangier striking is Basharat. The guy with better grappling upside is Basharat. The guy with more physicality, also Basharat. And the guy with better cardio down the stretch is Basharat as well. Where does Rodriguez have the edge? Well, maybe in a 15-minute kickboxing affair, he can throw some decent volume, but I don't think that comes without any resistance from Basharat. The lines are out where it is. I do like Rodriguez. I hope he fills out well at this weight class because I do think he has some decent fundamental skills, and I don't really want to bet against him too high of a clip here, but I do think Basharat wins. If I had to look at a way of playing this, I'd look towards maybe a decision line. However, that is juiced. Not something I want to touch here, minus 105. And I even hoped for a decent submission line, considering how many good positions he has on the ground, but plus 285 doesn't make me feel that good either. So this will turn into a complete fight, pass fight for me. All right, let's move on to the next one here. We have ourselves the first, or I guess Sarah Farron was one, but we have a French prospect starting here. 6-1, Nora Cornell. Yeah, we've heard a lot of cornhole jokes this week. Is it Cornell? What do you think the pronunciation is for it?
I think you got it right the first time.
Cornell?
Yeah, I think that's how we do it. I think that's how we say it. I'm not so sure though with this one, to be honest, but I think that's the way to do it.
That's one of the tougher ones too. I know we got some fun names to say later with Charrière and Filiot and Saint Denis. This one's cornhole sounds fun. Maybe we'll refer to it as cornhole. 6-1 to our cornhole going against 13-4 Jocelyn Edwards, and a interesting matchup, but one that has seemed to be pretty binary. Yeah, and one that is lined very close for good reason, but one where I think it's pretty easy to call. And that is if we're sitting here and doing a prediction show, I'm going to have a different answer than when talking about DraftKings ownership, because I do think the fighter with more paths to winning a fight percentage-wise or winning in the judges' scorecards is probably Jocelyn Edwards, just because I've seen more from her, and to the point where I think she has the physicality edge. I think she has the ability to win the striking exchanges on volume. Kalnad can be hit. There are some discrepancies in that area as well. But if we're looking for DraftKings and path to victory, the fighter with more finish upside and grappling upside, and let's say more ways to dominate this fight, is going to be Kalnad, just due to the fact that her path to victory is largely rooted in her physicality and her ability to close to the fence. And the fact that Edwards is so poor on the ground leads to a potential for Kalnad to have some success there, though. But I am picking Edwards to win this fight. I think it's really, really close. I don't know how much I want my hard-earned money on it, but I do think that she does have the striking edge here, ability to out-volume Kalnad down the stretch. And I do think she is the slight rightful favorite here. Do you agree? And what's your thought on this one?
Yeah, I do agree, but like I said, like you said, I appreciate you, bro. Like you just said, that's a fight where some weird thing can happen, because I think Edwards is the better fighter, and she's also gonna be bigger, but like her ground game is not good, and Cardinal is not really going for takedowns, but man, I don't trust either of these girls, if I'm being honest with you, Gordo. But if anything, Edwards would be bigger, and she might have a striking advantage, in my opinion, just a little bit. And I can see her getting her volume going and winning a close decision. But the line are pretty accurate, like close to a pick 'em. That's how it should be. But Edwards fought better competition, and she's gonna be the bigger girl. So if anything, it's Edwards for me. But I'm gonna pick her to win a decision. But as far as betting goes, I don't like anything on that fight.
And I don't blame you. It seems one that's going to go to decision a large majority of the time, one where most likely it's going to be either Edwards winning based on volume or Kalnad winning based off of control time. And does the French crowd play into the fact that they're maybe giving their prospect a win here? Does the striking optics help Edwards? There are so many unknowns, so many question marks that I do think there are better fights to target from a betting perspective here. But like I mentioned, it's pretty binary. I think the value on a fight winning perspective is Edwards, whereas on someone who's going to look retrospectively like a huge favorite is probably Kalnad, based on her ability to exploit the huge ground efficiency of Jocelyn Edwards. So a pretty sloppy fight in that regard. I think if we look at every single fight in this card, this may be one that could bring some fun action, but maybe one of the harder ones to call due to all the unknowns. And another one where, due to all the WMMA variants, not when I know if I want to have my hard-earned money on. We're in a decent streak recently with some good success at UFC Singapore, Dana White Contender Series. Is this the fight where I want to blow all my profits? Probably not. So we're probably gonna stay away from this one. Gun to my head, I'd probably pick Jocelyn Edwards. However, on DraftKings, I'll have more Nora Kalnad. All right. Next fight up. This one's actually a very, very fun one. We have the 9-3 Ange Loosa, 13-4-1 Reese McKee. And you know what, man? I never bet overs, like never. I think I've only bet, like, according to my bet MMA tips, I've only bet overs like 15 times, and they're usually like, that's over 3 years too. And usually they're pretty rooted towards heftier ones, but I'm really tempted on this one, man. This is two fighters who are extremely durable, two fighters who have gone to decision a lot in their bouts, and two fighters who have a decent tendency to put on fun fights. They average some good striking volume in both their bouts as well. They have the good ability to maintain the same pace and pressure over 15 minutes, and I'm tempted here. Face value, though, we do have someone in Reese McKee who's a primary striker, 100% finish rate, which doesn't look good for an over, but someone who is a pretty good striker in his own right, likes to use his length and his reach to have success here, but has a huge hole in his takedown defense. 0% takedown defense in the UFC, although skewed a bit to Khamzat Chimaev, but he can be taken down. Versus a guy, Ange Loosa, who has a ton of volume, a ton of pressure, and who likes to miss in the grappling. In a 15-minute kickboxing affair, I might actually pick Reese McKee here because I think he has the better range. Ange Loosa can be hit, has been outstruck in almost all of his bouts so far, but when Ange Loosa has that X factor where he can take down, I do think he can have some ground success against Reese McKee. I understand why he's the favorite. He has more paths to victory and getting it done, but I do think it's a very, very close fight. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
I like Loosa a lot in this fight, Gardo, and one of the reasons, you kind of talk about it already, but the takedown defense, but also the ground game. Like, this guy is not good, but I don't put, he's not good on the ground, and I don't put any stock into the Chimaev fight because I don't think it means anything. But we know Alex Moreno is a good fighter. He's a good grappler, but he's not a very good wrestler. His takedowns are not that great, but he was able to get takedowns at will. And at the end of the third round, he was dominating on top, almost got a finish. And this guy Mickey also, his striking defense is not good. Like, he doesn't move his head at all. And his striking offense is good. He has very good cardio. He's tough. He has some power, and he's fight long. But he's not very good at using his range. He got a little bit better now in the regional with his jab, but he's not a guy that I think can just fight a perfect fight at distance like Lazes did. I don't see that happening at all. And also, if we watch back at the Lusa versus Lazes fight, you have to consider that he took that fight on a week notice. I think it's also important to consider. And I bet Lusa pretty big against AJ Fletcher as a big underdog. It was like plus 140 or something. And one of the reasons was because of the wrestling upside. I had a very good read on him, and I said to people that he's going to be the one getting the takedowns, and people were saying the opposite with Fletcher. So I know that Lusa is an underrated wrestler, to say the least. And yeah, I love the way he was mixing his takedown in the AJ Fletcher fight. He was mixing his shot and takedown perfectly on the feet. That was perfect. That was very good to see, in my opinion. And also, his striking looked very good in that fight. He's more technical. He's going to be stronger, and he has a massive wrestling upside to me in that fight. And both of them are not very good defensively, but I think Mickey's worse. Like I said, he doesn't move his head. And on the regional, he went on some fights. He did look good in some spots, but dude, he got taken down, dominated on the ground in some fights I've watched. He got pieced up a little bit on the feet also against lower level guys. So now he's coming back into the UFC. I think he can have some good fight. He's a fun fighter, but he's this type guy that build into the fight. And the way I see this fight, Lusa's going to win the first 2 rounds, and then Mickey will try to come back, and he's going to have a strong third round, but it's going to be just too late. Both of them are very tough, but there's going to be a lot of violence. I was looking at the over just because they're both very durable, but if I bet the over and it's going to be so sweaty, I just don't want to do it. I did bet Lusa. I bet him in the parlay with Basharat at plus 114. It was, to me, just 2 of them who have pretty big advantage in the fight, and this should be bigger favorite. I think that Lusa should be around minus 200 in this spot, just because to me he's more technical, he's better defensively, and he also has momentum in the UFC now. He's going to try to go on the back-to-back wins, and just to me the wrestling upside, and I think he's better on the feet technically. And yeah, dude, Mickey, the straight shot down the pipe, they're just landing all night, and he don't know how to move his head. So I can bet him here. I love Lusa.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. And you know what? That was my original thought as well. But the more I dive into it, the more that I have this fear that Lusa isn't going to use his wrestling to his best extent. I mean, he didn't shoot that much against Lazes, and sure, that was on short notice. Sure, that was against a more powerful guy. In a 15-minute kickboxing affair, does Lusa live up to this price tag? Does he have the same striking to go out there? Because although he is a powerful guy who will be landing a support takedown defense of McKee, I think McKee has more volume. I think McKee has the ability to use his jab as well. So to me, it is a very interesting one. I am going to pick Lusa. I'm there with you because he has more tools to getting it done. But do you think that Lusa has the ability to win a 15-minute striking exchange?
Yeah, I think if it's like a 15-minute striking fight, I think he win 29-28. But I think that he can dominate with a takedown or 2 in the round. But yeah, I still favor him in a striking fight in that matchup. But I think the third round can be a little bit trouble because Mickey kind of build into the third round and Lusa kind of slow down a little bit. And Mickey volume is very good, but Lusa also have very good volume in my opinion.
Yeah, I like it, man. And I really do hope he wrestles, not only for my DraftKings shares, but if I am picking Lusa, that's what I'd expect from him. I also think that would help towards the over that I'm looking at as well. But if we're looking at a different way of betting things, if anybody's on Prize Picks, I don't have a Prize Pick code, but feel free to use Liam, friend of the show, Liam Picks Fights. Prize Picks, Ange Lusa, over 1.5 takedowns. Don't mind that leg this week. I do think he's able to get a couple, especially considering the 0% takedown defense of Rhys McKee. With that being said, I don't want to go too heavy against Rhys McKee this week, and I do think he's a live underdog. If it is a striking exchange, you seem to be a bit more confident than I am. I don't know if I'll get there yet. However, if Ange Lusa gets anywhere near, let's say, this line's still coming down. If it comes down anymore, I do think he has the X factor here. I do think he has more abilities getting it done, and if you get anywhere back to this line here, I might have to jump on it. But really close fight, really fun one. Looking forward to it. Fight Talk is asking for the fight doesn't go the distance. I'm more so leaning the other way. I think this is a fight that can be fought at a very, very high pace. And considering the durability of both these fighters, I'm leaning towards the over. And that's scary to say because McKee has a 100% finish rate. Before Lucy got to the UFC, he finished all his wins at the distance. But considering the fact that both these guys are so durable, both these guys are really not only tough, but have good cardio to withstand the same pressure. It's one where I lean towards the over. But as Dravhy mentioned, it's going to get really sweaty the later the fight goes, considering these fighters build that way. Do you agree with that one?
Well, yeah, I think the over is the play. But I think you can, like, people are going to look into the fight and they're going to bet the under just because of violence. So I can understand that. But two guys that are very durable and they have that dog in them. So I think they go over, and I think it's going to be a very good fight.
I agree. Andre's also saying that Basha by decision as a gift from the gods. I think it might be as well. It's just one that, considering the cardio concerns and the positional submission opportunities for Basharat, that would be what I'd. You like the under there? Sorry.
No, yeah, I don't like the decision at this number. It's like what, -120 or something. The decision prop for Basharat.
Basharat decision.
I think it's -120 last time I checked. That's probably how he wins, but I think he has finishing upside.
-105 now.
Yeah, it's not bad, but like you just said, the cardio upside, the moving up a weight class for Rodriguez, the step down in competition for Basharat, the way he goes to the body, the way CJ Vergara hurt Rodriguez with body shot, and the big domination on the ground that can happen. So I don't like the. I think that's how he wins, but I think he has finishing upside, especially late in the fight.
I'm getting a nice little question here for my school skills. We will talk there later. Fight Talk. I still got a lot of schooling left to do before I'm able to help you with a medical opinion. My doctorate still got a couple of years in the making, but could be a lot of different things if it's no contact. We can talk about that one. We'll jump into the next one though. This is another fight at the 135 weight class, one that is coming together a bit on short notice. We have the second stint in the UFC for Taylor Lapilus, 18-3, versus the undefeated Kyle Loughran at 8-0, Irish prospect. And man, this is one that, like I said, is coming together on short notice. Loughran is supposed to fight Gamori, I believe, on this card, whereas Lapilus was I'm forgetting who was Lapilus supposed to fight again?
That was Gafurov.
Yes, Gafurov. What was supposed to be a fun fight there, but new opponents this time. There was a little bit of a switch in the card, but it seems to be another interesting matchup, one where we have more known factors on Lapilus, considering the second stint to the UFC versus an undefeated prospect who is looking to have a decent skill set, but relatively unproven. I'll pass this one to you first, my friend. How do you see this fight going down?
Yeah, it's funny you talk about the Gafurov fight because I had Lapilus at -105 in that fight, and he was -180. So I was pissed that this fight got called off. But this fight's an easier fight for him, in my opinion, because it's a bit different. It's a bit similar than the Gafurov matchup. So I don't think Lapilus has to prepare any differently because Gafurov will bring the pressure, you will wrestle, and you will be dangerous. So it's kind of the same matchup for him. I think that Loughran's a good fighter. I love his wrestling. I love his top control. I think he's a good fighter. He has some pops in his hands, but he's stationary on the feet. Like, he doesn't move a lot. And Lapilus is a very good striker. Let me tell you that. Like, I watch a lot of tapes on him, and I'm very high on this guy. I think he's going into the top 15, Gordo. I think he has a solid upside in the UFC. And his striking is legit. Like, it's very, very legit. And the way he moves, the tools he has on the feet, his cardio, his takedown defense is good. It's got better because it was not as good before that earlier in his career, but now he has good takedown defense. But more than anything, he has good get-up game. And also, when he get up, he's going for damage. Like, I love to see that. When some people like they tend to lay on the ground and then get up and do nothing, you lose the round. Simple as that. Lapilus, the spots I've watched, you try to get up as soon as possible if you get taken down, which is not easy to do. And then on the feet, he goes for damage. He tries to get the round back. I love to see that. And maybe that Loughran will be able to get some takedowns because I think he's pretty strong and I love his wrestling. And but I don't see him getting any control time. Maybe it's possible, but I think that if he gets a takedown, Lapilus will get up. And on the feet, especially at distance. I don't see this fight being close. At distance, Lapilus is way better. You need to be a little bit careful in the pocket because Loughran has good boxing, but in the pocket. And also, that's another one of these cage warrior guy who we have seen in the UFC so far. They're not doing very good when they're going up when they step up in competition. And just a point to you to maybe speak about a little bit, when you have a guy like that who look very good in the wrestling department in Cage Warrior, we have to consider that. And it's one of my guy, Corey Buncor. He told me about it, and I had to just give him a little shout out because that was not my take. But he said that the guys on Cage Warrior, they don't have good wrestling. They don't have good ground game. You know, that's like all of their weaknesses. So maybe this guy wrestling look way better than it's gonna look in the UFC when he take a step up in competition. So just a little bit we need to consider also. It's also a good factor. And Lapilus, he fought better competition. He's the better striker. And I think he wins a decision. He's also fighting at home. So if the rounds are close, it can maybe play a factor. I did play him Gordo at minus 140. The line got a little bit up now. I think he should be minus 200 in this spot.
Interesting look there. And I think there's a few things we got to talk about on this one. Number one was I was really high on Loughran. I was going to make I don't want to say a big investment, but I was going to be really high on Loughran on DraftKings when he was facing Gamori. I thought he has a style that was going to go in there and he was going to break him. And I think that's really what Loughran wants to say. Shout out to C for pointing it out there. But his style is one that is just ton of aggression, a ton of physicality. He wants to run through his opponents and break them right there. And he has done so by getting 7 of his 8 wins by finish that way. But the problem I have here is originally when he was facing Gamori, he had an opponent in front of him who he could go out there and break. He could go out there, take down, dominate, use his physicality and have some problem and pose problems that way. But now in front of him, what he has is a guy in Lapilus who is not only a much better takedown defense, but just a ton more experience, a much better mixed martial artist than I do rate Gamori. And for that reason, although Loughran still has the opportunity to go out there and utilize his wrestling, utilize his pressure, utilize his physicality, we haven't seen that against this level of competition. This is going to be a huge step up in competition against a guy who not only has the experience at this top level, but has 3 wins at this top level, is 3-1 inside the UFC, and has only gotten better in my eyes since he's left the UFC. He's a guy I think has really improving the get up game in the wrestling, and unless that Loughran can go out there, stick to him like glue for 15 minutes, it's going to be Lapilus winning the striking exchanges, winning the optics, and trying to win on the stretch of scorecards, like you mentioned, in his home country. So to me, although Loughran is live for a victory, and although I think that he has a very bright UFC career in front of him, I can't pick him yet until I can see him perform at this UFC level, until I can see him go out there and stick to Lapilus like glue for 15 minutes. So a very, very fun matchup. Quickly to talk about this fight on DraftKings is Loughran's 9.3K. Excuse me. Loughran is 9.3K on DraftKings because of the original opponent. And because of that, it's so hard to go up there and get up to him. I just do my podcast with Brett for Daily Fan, but the more you think about it, especially to you, Dravy, if Lapilus loses this fight, how does Loughran win?
He can be live to finish on top.
Yep.
But more than likely, I think it's like a close decision with top control and wrestling. But I think that if he goes for submission, I don't think his grappling is that good. I love his ground and pound though. If he goes for like a big ground and pound finish, he might get it. It's possible. But more than likely, his path's probably a close decision, in my opinion. But again, I don't really see that. Like, I'm not even sure what to answer. His path to victory is probably a finish with ground and pound on the ground. It's probably it. But I'm not sure he can. I'm not sure he can do that, and I'm also not sure he can. Like, I'm not sure he can get the fight to the ground, but I'm not so sure that he can control it on the ground. So it's not like this type of fight. If there's a takedown, it might be the fight. I don't see it that way.
Yeah, and my point of saying is I don't think he finishes fight at a high clip, but his win condition is rooted in domination, whether that be on the ground, whether that be a finish potential. And on DraftKings, that's exactly what you want to see, is someone who can go out there, finish the fight, have a ton of takedown control time that way. And at 9.3K considers underdog, he's going to come with very little ownership as well. Loughran is a very good GBP pivot play, but again, it's hard to get to this one. Overall, final thoughts. I think Lapilus has the minute winning ability, the takedown defense, the get up game, and the better striking to beat a guy in Loughran who's unproven. And gun to my head, I would pick him, but I do think Loughran's really live. I don't think I'm going to get to the betting window on this fight, considering how I kind of want to see Loughran succeed. Like, I like his style. I like his pace. I like his pressure. I want to see him do well in the UFC. But at this point, Lapilus is way more proven. He has a good game, and I do think that I'm going to have to pick him to win this fight. Very close, though. Very fun. It's just two different points of their career. We'll see how it lines up. Let's check in on everything here. Fight talk. Yeah, we'll talk for sure. I appreciate you. Dixon's making his casual jokes. Appreciate you hanging out here. He's going to be fading the East Cage Warrior champs. Don't blame him here. And he likes Lapilus in decision. I think a lot of the times that's where he wins the bout. All right. With that one done, what are we? We are halfway through the card. All right, this is the halfway park right here. We have the 1891 Morgan Shafiaga versus the 11-3 Manolo Zecchini. The urge to call this guy Zucchini is looming large here. It is another fun matchup here, one where we do have another very hefty favorite. This time the French fighter is a large favorite, and guess what? This is one of my favorite fighters on the card. This is one of my favorite spots. My favorite pick to win this one is Shafiaga here this weekend. And I think if I had to pick any fighter to win their fight the most, maybe as a parlay, like, it's probably Shafiaga this weekend. And let me explain why. I think this is a matchup that is tailor-made for him. If you look at the prospect scene, if you look at all the people over there, I mean, he's a guy who I didn't know very well, but a big social media following, a big reputation over there, and he will be getting a large pot from the crowd against a fighter in Zecchini who I don't see having too much success at the UFC level. Zecchini is not someone who I think has the overall best, let's say, athleticism. I think he's be out physicaled by Shafiaga here. I think Shafiaga is going to have the advantage on the ground as well. I think he's going to have the advantage in the speed. Now, Zecchini does have some decent finishability early on, very aggressive to start the fight. And let's not say that Shafiaga isn't perfect. I mean, he fights to very, very close fights, split decision, majority decisions all over his record. But when we look at the fighter who has the better cardio, the better overall striking, the ability to take it down to the ground and succeed there, and the guy that the UFC wants to win here, it is Shafiaga, and I do think he wins this fight at a very, very high clip. I do think he's able to wear on Zecchini, exploit that poor, let's say, gas tank of Zecchini, and find the kill shot as the fight goes on. If there's any issues there, I do think Shafiaga can take it to the ground. He's super durable, super tough, good cardio. Will be in this guy's face when the fight ends. Considering how dynamic of an athlete he is, I do think he has a lot of success here against Zecchini, and I do think he's the fighter they're trying to prop up this weekend. Do you agree, and what's your thought on this matchup?
Yeah, I did tape this fight very early, and I did a lot of tapes in that fight because I know that Shafiaga he's hype in France, so and he has a lot of following, so I kind of like that. And I was looking at his resume, and I know some people were hyping him up in France just because he's good and all that. I look at his record, and I'm like, dude, he's 18-9, but like, is he that good? And then I watched the fight, and I don't know if you did go that deep, but the fights he lost, that was like close decision, majority decision. In 5 rounders, most of them, all 5 rounders, the fight he lost. So I think it's important to consider that because first of all, he fought good competition on the regional. He's not a guy that was scared to fight good guy. He could have been in the UFC 10-0, and he didn't do that. And he talked about it in interviews that I've listened in French. He said that he had a different way. He fought the best guy. He didn't say no to anybody, and he just rolled with the dice. And then, like he said, he still managed to go into the UFC. So he was like, anything's possible. You need to follow your dreams and all that. So I kind of like that from him. But I think he's a solid fighter. Like, he's pretty well-rounded. I love his wrestling. I love his striking. He has power, good ground and pound, very, very, very good cardio. He's tough. And like you said, he has a big following. He's fighting at home. So we know that every time he's going to do something, the crowd's going to react big time. But I don't like the line, dude. And I want to play him because, like I said, I taped this fight early. I taped his opponent. I'm like, dude, he's dangerous early, but I don't like his takedown defense. I don't think he has a good ground game, but he does have power and he's dangerous early. And sometimes Shafiaga tends to fight a little bit closer than he should be. And I don't really like that when I lay big chalk like that. And I did wrote in my notes before the lines could drop, Shafiaga -150, hammer spot. That was like, I wanted -150, and I would probably drop 4 units on that. They opened it -280. I think I was like, damn, it's pretty spot on. So I didn't play anything at this number, and I was hoping people will play the other side, so I can get like -225 or something and parlay him with somebody else. But people are all over it, like they know he's gonna win. They're just playing him. So but like how you lose this fight, he get caught early, possible, but he
Never
has
been knocked out.
yeah, he has a very good chin, and the time he lose, that's close decision that he could have won. Like for real, if we look at this resume, I watched like 10 of his fight. I think I watch a lot, and the fight against Paul Huge, that was a very close fight, and that was a 5-round decision lost. After that, another split decision lost. That was a 5-rounders also, and also he lost another decision, majority decision, 2019, 5-rounders. So he has a lot of experience in 5 rounds. And is that any else? Another fight that's 3-rounders, but that's a majority decision. And he fought legit guys. Like you know Parnasse. I don't know how to say his name. Sadayan Parnasse. He's like a big prospect from France. He fought him in 2017.
Yeah, he's had some really level of competition. Like you mentioned Paul Hughes already. He should be in the UFC by now. His losses, not only are they against good level of competition, but they're also earlier in his career.
Also, and yeah, he has a win by finish over William Gomez also. And yeah, but what I like about him, Gordo, is that recently he's more aggressive. He's going for the finish more. I like that because when I was watching the fights, all the fight except the last two, I was gonna bet his decision prop. That was my thought. I will bet his decision prop. But then his last two fights, I'm like, dude, like he's going for finishes now. He's gonna be fighting at home, so I don't really want to do that. But the decision prop, it's like plus 260 on bet 265. I think it's a solid bet. But he does have finishing upside, especially on the ground. So I don't really, man, I don't know what I want to do here, but man, I like him in the parlay, Gordo. I might have to parlay him with like Gane, don't go to distance, and under 2.5 for Ozdemir. I just check it. That's like plus 115. It's a little bit chalky, but is that not going to hit? You know what I mean?
Like I'm not always one who wants to go out there and parlay these big numbers. I did it last week and it paid out. It's maybe not a good thing long term, but I do agree it should be parlayable. Like we look at the way that loses this fight, you have to think that Zekany is path of victory, sparking him early. Well, we've never seen Shahriar really get sparked early, so we don't know that could happen. Additionally, the problem with Shahriar is he fights close and he can lose split decisions. Do you really think he's losing a split decision in France?
No, not at all. And I don't think this guy is as good as winning minutes. Shahriar tend to fight close, but like when you lose, people push a pace, and this dude will push a pace early. But I don't think his cardio is the best. And like you said, if the rounds are close, every time he's gonna land a punch or land a takedown, the crowd's gonna go crazy. He's a big star in France.
Yeah. So I like that bites. Go ahead.
What's his inside the distance? Like minus 110. Yeah, minus 110. And the decision probably is like plus 260 on some books, I think. Plus 240.
Win by submission was the line I was looking at too. It is bet down huge on some decent books here, so you can still get that plus 800. I don't mind that. He definitely has a huge ground advantage there. Of course, the preferred method of victory for him is that knockout, but man, this is going to be a fun one. The more I talk about it, the more I like Shahriar this weekend, and I think he's probably my favorite fighter to win.
Damn.
All right, well, that's the halfway mark. Let's remember that this is Vegas Judge UFC brings, not local French judges. Yeah, but I meant more so the impact of the crowd, right? Zekany goes out there, lands a punch, it'll be crickets. Shahriar goes out there, crowd will erupt, like Hitman says. Awesome crowd.
Hey, also, do we want to talk about what Shahriar said in French about, like his opponent was on social media. He was like, "Boo me, please, when I go in. Boo me," and he wants people to boo him when he walk into the cage, right? And Shahriar said in French, when you walk in, don't say anything. Just don't say anything. Dead silence. So if that's the case, this dude's gonna be like, wait, why is that no? Where is there no booze? He's gonna be like, what's going on? So, and he had like what 10K likes on this post, and it's going viral. So maybe nobody gonna do anything. This dude's gonna be like, wait, what?
Yeah. You sent this screenshot to me at 2 p.m. earlier today, so 7 hours ago. And it had 800,000 views on Twitter.
Yeah, so
that'd be fun. All right. With that, though, we're past the halfway mark, guys. Please make sure to like button down below, subscribe to the channel. Let's get on with this one. Next one up, I think we're on the main card. I think this one is considered a 6-fight main card. It is. Oh, that last one was on the main card as well. 1, 2. Yep. That one was on the main card. Now we have the 12-2 William Gomes versus the 12-1 Giannis Gamori. Whew. Fun fight, maybe. I don't know. Let's just get it out of the way, man. I'm not a big fan of William Gomes. They have props out. Interesting. I'll have to look at these. Gomes is someone who I don't think rates out as a very fun guy to watch. He's a boring fighter. He slows down fights. He uses his style. But what I will say is he's extremely intelligent. He knows what it takes to win fights. He will tailor his approach to his opponents. Although he's not perfect, he's a smart guy, right? If he has a grappler in front of him, he'll strike. If he's got a striker in front of him, he'll grapple. He's well-rounded enough to do that approach here. And I think he's got an opponent in front of him who, although is maybe a decent fighter and people like, oh, Gomes shouldn't be minus 210, minus 225 over anybody. I do think we have a spot here where Gomes is going to be the smarter fighter with more paths to get it done. If he needs to grapple to seal around, he'll seal around. And I do think he is the rightful favorite. Oh, there's no way I'm playing Gomes at this price tag. What are your thoughts on this fight, man? It is a short notice replacement 1-1 where you have two French fighters, two buddies. Do you side with the favorite here, or do you think that Gomes is not someone you can trust at this price tag?
Yeah, man, I don't have any interest to bet that fight. I think that there was some value at plus 200 on the other side, but I think that Gomez will win this fight. But it's gonna be by decision, and it's probably gonna be close. So you don't want to lay minus 200 in a close decision fight. But like you said, he has good fight IQ. He knows what he needs to do to win fight. I love his footwork. I love his defense. His wrestling is also good. He might have wrestling upside in that fight, and on the feet it's gonna be close. So if you tell me they're gonna strike for 15 minutes, no wrestling, nothing, I'm gonna bet the other side. But Gummy is probably gonna land a takedown or two to steal the rounds. And yeah, he's very good defensively. I love his fight IQ. He's not gonna go into a war. He uses footwork a lot, and I don't think he's like exciting or a good prospect, but I think he's UFC caliber. And I'm not so sure about the other guy. I think he's decent, but that's his UFC debut. I have to favor Gomez in that fight, but I was thinking he's gonna be like minus 150 or something. It's minus 200. There's value on the other side still, but I don't want to get involved in that fight. In this type of close decision fight, you want to be on the big plus money side, but I'm not gonna bet anything. Go to distance, probably a good parlay piece, but even then, I don't like it that much.
Yeah, and you know what? You look at this and you're like, okay, well, Gamori's probably gonna have the volume advantage. He's strong enough himself, but what Gomes likes to do is he slows down these fights, man. You look at that, his overall metrics, man. It kind of blows you away how talented he is defensively. And you know what? That's not what anybody wants to see. That's not a good look for the fans. It's not a good look in a lot of things. But when you have the same, let's say, style he does, that's gonna be winning fights. Do whatever it takes to win. He has an 81% striking defense. That may be the highest I've ever seen. You look at his last matchup, we all think to the fact like, oh, Francis Marshall didn't really do anything. He threw 132 strikes, but only 15 of them landed, 11% striking significant strike percentage rate. Gomes was just able to slow him down, stop him that way. And I bet Marshall, shame on me, but man, it's interesting that way. I do think it's a interesting matchup. One where I have to side with Gomes here, but not with too much conviction, not at this line. I do think he will be beaten sometime, but Gomes boring, right? Gomes boring. Man, there are better fights. This is an interesting one on the main card. I do think Gomes has the ability to steal rounds with his takedowns, be the more impactful striker, but it could also be a very slow-paced fight. Don't know if I want much betting involvement on that, and I've kind of said that for a few fights, but I'm not forcing any action. Let me tell you that for sure. All right, this next one I'm very tempted on, and I really have to hear your input on this one because I don't want to have a bet locked in yet, but I definitely want to on this one because it seems to me like we might have an opportunity to do well here. We do have ourselves the UFC debutant 14-2 Bogdan Guskov versus the 18-7 Volkan Oezdemir. We have the battle-tested Oezdemir facing the best of the division. Going to decision with Ankalaev, having a ton of top-level fights versus Guskov, who is 14-2. A very violent record on his hand, but someone who hasn't really faced much adversity, right? He has All of his wins inside the distance. His cardio is relatively untested. He seems to slow down, but considering the knockout power he has, he doesn't really use it too much. He seems like he can be taken down. He can be out volume. He can be hit. He has been knocked out in his bouts as well. There's a lot of holes in Guskov's game, but what he is powerful, very explosive. He has the opportunity to shut off Uzdemir's lights like Uzdemir's been knocked out before, and that's kind of why the line is where it is. But what I see in my eyes here is Uzdemir taking a step down in competition, where he will be the far more superior technical striker, better cardio, better level of experience. He's a guy, Guskov, who is just reliant on that KO punch. I think if he doesn't get that against Uzdemir, he loses this fight. And although it's a possibility, although you have to play into the fact that Guskov can win this fight by knockout, I'm not here to rely on that. The pick is Uzdemir. I'm very tempted to bet him, but maybe you have to bet the under instead. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, I think this fight's going to be funny. Let me explain you why. Because if you look on paper, Ozdemir looked to be the side easily. And I was thinking about betting him because I looked the line early. I taped my stuff pretty early most of the time. So Ozdemir was minus 130, minus 140 at some points. And I was like, why is he only minus 140 in this spot? I didn't understand. But then I watched tape back. And I did bet Ozdemir pretty big against Paul Craig. But, dude, why are you getting a wobble by Paul Craig? Like, dude, that was not a good look to me. And I think that he has quite a funny chin, especially recently. Since he has been KO'd by Prohaska, it looks like he doesn't like being hit, and he kind of gets wobbled. And I think he's gonna get chin real soon. If he's not in that fight, that's gonna be soon. Like it's gonna be a big KO prop to be cashed soon against Ozdemir, in my opinion. Because yeah, he's decent, but to me, he's on the decrease. Like he's not. He has been on the downfall a little bit since he got KO, and it kind of show. Like I don't think the striking look as good as what it was before, and his chin is not as good anymore. So yeah, I don't like that, especially in this type of matchup where the other dude is not very good. He didn't fight good competition, but he does have big power, and he can put him out, in my opinion. I think that Ozdemir is the side just because he has fought a way better competition. We know what we're gonna get with him, but I think anybody's live for a KO early, and that's gonna be a car crash because I don't trust the other guy cardio at all. If the fight go past the first round, I think Ozdemir is probably a big favorite, but I think anybody can fall in the first round. I don't think Gasparov has like a good chin. He has been KO, I think, out cold once, and but Ozdemir had just a funny chin to me, Gordo. Like he get the time he got wobbled by Paul Craig, I bet him big in that fight, and I was like, dude, what is going on? And yeah, I think that since he got KO by Prohaska, things changed in his mind. Like he doesn't want it anymore, you know. So, and in this fight, he's gonna get it clean for sure. And I don't know if he's gonna fall or not. So I don't want to lay chalk on that. And also, dude, everybody's on Ozdemir. Almost. I think 80 or 90% of people are on Ozdemir. They're all saying he's easy money. The bookies don't agree. They're like, go ahead, bet him. I'm gonna give you a better line. The line's dropping it again. I don't get it. Like if that's such an easy fight and everybody's on him, why is the line was minus 150 for a long time? It got bet up to minus 200, but then it dropped down back to minus 175. So what is going on? If it's that's an easy fight, he's fighting a bum. So why is not minus 250 or something? So I think it's a trap. So I really think it's a trap. I think people are gonna play Ozdemir. They're gonna think that he fought better competition and that's an easy spot. I'm not gonna bet the other side just because I think it's quite a 50-50 fight. There's value on Gusparov, in my opinion, but I don't know if he's at that level. If he's not, he's going to get KO. So I don't have any bet yet. And it's funny you talk about a bet because you want to probably make one on this fight. And I'm on the same side. I want to make a bet on this fight. And the one I'm looking at, it's the under 1.5 at minus 135 on Bet365 at the moment. And I think it's this fight go past the 1.5 mark at probably like 20 to 25% clip, in my opinion. There's big value on this line. It got smashed on Bet Online, but there's still like minus 135 on a lot of books, and Ozdemir KO is minus 110 or something. Yeah. So I like the under. I like variance in that spot. I'm not sure if I'm gonna probably the under 2.5, or I'm gonna just bet the under 1.5. But I like variance either way in this one. I don't want to pick a side though. I'm gonna pick Ozdemir to get the KO, but like to me, it's just such a wool and first type fight, and I like the under. It's only minus 135 for the under 1.5. Don't you think it should be like minus 200 or something?
Should be up higher considering, but Ozdemir has fought at a slower pace, which is kind of the fear here, right?
Yeah.
If you are saying he doesn't like to take damage as much and his chin is on the decline, that's the fear for me.
But
sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes it's just the opponent, right? If Guskov's going to come out here, he's facing low-level competition, guys that really can't fight back, and his cardio is also in question. It really seems like this is a match where Ozdemir should win. I agree with Dixon here. He says that his back's up against the wall. He's someone you should have success against with. I agree. I think he should win this fight. He's facing cans, but it reminds me a lot of, and it's funny because I was watching, I did my show, I was talking about it, and I made the same comparison. And then Rich, just when Baby brought it up on Liam's show as well, it reminds me of the Ruzabaya fight, right? When Ruzabaya fought Renan Ferreira, everyone was on Ferreira because Ruzabaya was a fraud. He didn't fight anybody good, fought level of competition. His cardio is questionable. Ferreira is going to beat him in this aspect. And, well, guess what? Doesn't matter who you faced. You still have knockout power. You can still find the button. Bogdan can still get a round with KO. I just don't think that it's someone who should be, let's say, plus 150 to do so. I think he's someone who all the signs on paper indicate towards Ozdemir. I have to pick him to win this fight. I think he does, but I'm struggling to get to the window on that one. Might have to go violence with you.
Yeah, just because of the opponent also. Like Ozdemir has went to decision a lot recently, but Krylov's just super, super durable. And after that, the Paul Craig fight, that was a little bit questionable why he didn't finish the fight, but he was just so careful about getting taken down. So that's maybe why he didn't get a KO. The Nkalaev fight, he almost got finished in this one. The Prohaska fight, he got KO out cold. The Rakic decision win's a pretty good win, but that was 2019 before he got KO, like I said. And DC win, DC loss, I don't rate that. But like if you look, Guskov, when is the last time he went over 1.5?
I don't think he ever has.
2019 is the last time.
And he's at the only time, right? He
lost a decision earlier in 2016, so he went only 2 times over 1.5. So it's just that type of fight where just Guskov's gonna bring the fight. He's gonna kill him or he's gonna die. That's how I see it. I don't think he's gonna fight different coming into the UFC.
He's got
the bet right now.
10 wins in the first round. What's that, sorry?
Yeah, I think I'm placing the bet right now.
Okay, here we go.
Dude, wait a minute.
All right, well, with that in the books, oh, go ahead.
Why is that KO 1 for Guskov is plus 550?
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. It's
doesn't
it
make
seems to be
sense,
his win
right?
condition.
Yeah, exactly.
It could be one way to hedge out of a Vulcan bet.
Yeah, but I think I'm gonna play under 1.5 now, minus 135. I like that. You like it as well?
I don't mind it. I might get there with you. And I agree with him, man. Level of competition seems to be pretty big here. But let's move on to the Twitter war of the week, the big battle that's dividing everybody. And I get why. It's a very tough one to call, but what I'm excited to hear your opinion on is the 11-1 Benoit Saint-Denis, the Frenchman on the main card, against his toughest test to date, Thiago Moises. And it seems to be pretty binary. Everyone on Saint-Denis is like, man, Alvarez steamrolled Moises. Moises can't deal with pressure. He's going to jump right through him. Whereas everyone on Moises is like, this is a huge line correction on Benoit Saint-Denis. He was just plus 285 against Bonfim. Now he's favored against Moises. Moises is a huge jiu-jitsu threat, all this stuff. It seems to be pretty binary. It's dividing the masses, and I understand why. In pre-tape, I agreed with the Moises side. I'm like, Benoit Saint-Denis hasn't done anything. He hasn't proven anything to me to be why he should be favored here, but the more I look at it, man, I can't get past the optics that Saint-Denis brings. He is an absolute warrior. He will go forward with his whole might. His cardio is good. His wrestling good. His pace is good. His aggression is good. And he will spam kicks to the body. He will spam takedowns till his opponents break down the stretch. And we've seen Moises is broken more times than not before. Now, of course, there's a world where Moises can stuff the takedowns and win some striking exchanges, or maybe catch Benoit Saint-Denis in something, but it's not too large of an indication. It's hard for me to see this fight going any other way than Benoit Saint-Denis constantly pressuring, constantly causing problem for Moises, and having success in whatever realm he wants it to be. I think Saint-Denis is a very deadly pressure fighter, and we've seen Moises struggle against pressure fighters before. What is your opinion on this matchup?
Yeah, I have a similar one. First of all, the market overcorrection thing. That this one just not the case. Like the line about the Benoit Saint Denis and Bonfim fight was just wrong. You look minus 250. So to me, that was not the market overcorrection. They didn't have the line correct at all. Like that's a little bit different. Sometimes you have like a close fight. The fighter should have been plus 100. He was plus 200 or something. So yeah, that I can understand that. But in this case, I think it's different. That was not the market overcorrection to me, but it kind of looked like it because he went to plus 250 to minus 150 now against Moises in a step up in competition. And Moises is a tougher fight for him than Bonfim was. So it just proved the point that he should never have been plus 250 against Bonfim. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, in this fight, dude, like I'm on Benoit Saint Denis in this fight. I like him a lot, but I understand both sides. Like he's taking a big step up in competition. Moises is a legit grappler. He has been in the UFC for a long time. He's technical on the feet. He has very high level BJJ, good wrestling. I understand all of that. But to me, Gordo, it was the Joel Alvarez fight. That was one of the fight that sold me on Benoit. Like Joel Alvarez, like, yeah, he's a big dude. He has power. All right, that's fair. But what he did in that fight, he pressure cooked him. Like he put a lot of pressure on him, and Moises just didn't have an answer for it. Like he kind of break him. You break him with pressure. That's what he did. And what Benoit do? Like what Benoit's gonna do? He just went like he destroyed the arms of Bonfim in like 2 minutes with big leg kicks, and then he choked him out. Like he broke the dude. And then just we're gonna talk a little bit about the Zaleski fight, upper weight class, UFC
Upper
debut.
weight class.
What Benoit say in interviews about this fight? Dos Santos he got tested positive for something, right? You know that he got tested positive for something in that fight. And Benoit's talking about this fight that he should have been in no contest because Dos Santos got suspended for like a year because of that. And he's like, why did I went up a weight class in my UFC debut against someone that's bigger than me but was on the juice or something, and he still managed to win the distance. But dude, he just has that dog in him. Like he really do. Like he was eating some big shots, and like he has military force background and all that. And I listen a lot of his interview because I'm a big fan of the dude, and he's saying that in all the French, there's a lot of them, and he's talking in deep about the fight, about what he's going through, etc. And he's saying that like he's people don't understand how strong he is, and that's the thing for me also. He's gonna be bigger, he's gonna be stronger, he's gonna have more power on the feet, and he's gonna have more finishing upside. And he has the pressure to do exactly what I want someone to do against Moises, because Moises is more technical, fair. He might have the better BJJ, but to me, Benoit's the better wrestler. He's stronger, and he can decide where the fight take place. And I think he's going to keep it on the feet and piece him up. He's going to put a lot of pressure on Moises, and he's going to break him. He can win a decision. It's not like he's fighting at home. He can land takedowns, stay safe on top because Moises is not dangerous off his back. But you need to be careful because Moises has a good guillotine. He has good submission, and I don't think it's an easy fight. I'm not going to say that, but I did play Benoit pretty big. I got minus 140, minus 115, and plus 100. 3.5 unit. Like I went big on him. I like him at these line. I think he should be a bigger favorite, and I think he should be around minus 175. Like I said, I don't think it's like a easy fight for him. It's a step up in competition, but it's a matchup where he's gonna be looking good, and that he's gonna go into the top 15. I love his style a lot, and I love him in this spot. I love the finishing upside.
Hey, I agree. I will say one thing though. Me not cashing that under 2.5 in that Daleski Dos Santos fight was painful, man. That referee. But no, he did show that dog. He's a very tough dude. You have to kill the guy. And the special forces, the dude's tough. Actually, Hitman just said right that. But what we do have in front of him is a guy in Moises who is going to be more battle tested, who is going to fight at that level of competition, and who is very credentialed on the mat. And I look to myself and I say, okay, if Benoit Saint Denis is not going to stop going forward, and he is going to have that pressure forward style to win, or just try to break Moises, how does Moises win this fight? Well, it's probably catching Saint-Denis in something with submission. And I'll only see that at a high clip. Plus 575 for a jiu-jitsu champion is something I might look at there. I do think I'm going to side with Saint-Denis here. I think he wins this fight with his pace and pressure at a high clip. Should be a very fun matchup. All right, then with 2 to go, George is asking if you're fading any of the French fighters. I know there's 2 fighters to go, 2 French fighters to go. Maybe you'll be fading one there, but so far we seem to be mostly. I think you're fading Zara Farron to start, but other than that,
yeah, that's an easy one to fade though. Let me say that. And yeah, I don't think I'm fading anyone else. But they have favorable matchup also. Like the UFC are not dumb. They're giving him good. They're giving most of them good fights, in my opinion.
What happened when the UFC came to Canada? Canada went what, 6-0?
Oh yeah, that was cool, dude. I can't wait to see Mike Malott back. I called the guillotine perfectly in that fight. That was dope.
He's a fun guy to watch, so I hope he comes back there soon. But you said you're not fading any French guys. There's 2 French people left, including a French woman. Next up, we have a very fun co-main event: the 10-1 Manon Fiorot versus the 11-5 Thug Rose Namajunas, someone who is making their way up to 125. That's a big elephant in the room, and I love Thug Rose. Although my love for her took kind of a hit after that last one of those boring fights of all time. That's okay. I still think she's a very talented fighter, someone with a lot of skill, and someone who's maybe just given the wrong game plan for her last matchup. Nonetheless, we do have a fun one in front of us, one where it's so hard for me to pick Rose here for many reasons, right? It seems like she's going to be lacking the size here. It seems like she's going to be not having the same power at the end of her punches. She's facing a very dynamic striker, one who's also landed a takedown in each one of her matchups. And if Fiorot's really going to have such a size advantage here, what's the path for Rose? Can she pitter-patter, out volume her way to a decision? In France, maybe harder to do that on the judges' scorecard. So what's her path here? Can she lock up a submission if she goes all spider monkey and tries to climb to the back? Potentially. And that's why Rose by submission plus 725, something I might be looking at. But really, I think I have to pick Manon Fiorot here in what is a very, very close battle. I'm cheering for Rose. It's just hard to get past the physicality, the strength, the paths to victory for Manon Fiorot in her home crowd. Fun matchup. I want to cheer for Rose, but don't know if I can. What is your thought on this matchup?
I have a strong opinion in that fight. I have a max bet on it. So, yeah, I think Manon Fiorot is the future champ, Gordo. I don't think it's Erin Blanchfield. It's Manon Fiorot, and she's gonna.
That's a hot take.
Yeah, this is the. And let me tell you something, because people give me a lot of shit because I bet Tyler Santos at plus 140 against Erin Blanchfield. But dude, that was like a 50-50 fight. I don't mind the plus 140 on the Santos in this one. And Blanchfield was not able to get her takedowns going. And I think that Fiorot takedown defense is also very good, and she's also very strong. But Fiorot will do bad things to Blanchfield on the feet. But yeah, that's not the fight. And yeah, I love her striking a lot. I also love her volume. It's something to note. And people I think, are not looking into this fight the right way. People looking at the Chukenjan fight, right? Manon didn't look good in that fight. She almost lost. Yeah, but people don't know she got injured in the first round, right? Her knee got injured in the first round, and that's
ACL, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the only round she lost in the UFC. All right, she got her knee injured, and guess what? She still managed to win the fight, unanimous 29-28. I love this about her, but she didn't look as good, and I knew that because I had a big bet on her in this fight, and I was like, Manon's not looking as good. Like, what is going on? And after that, it didn't make sense, and that's why she didn't call for title shot, because she knew that she had to go to surgery. I'm not putting too much stock into the surgery because she had that knee problem for a long time. So if anything, she might look better. Who knows? I don't think it's going to play a big factor into that fight. But what's going to play a factor is that Rose moving up a weight class. Rose, like, she's 2-0 against Weili Zhang. She could have won one more fight and get a title shot, probably get her belt back. But she doesn't know what to do anymore, it looks like she's going up a weight class. She was kind of big for strawweight, but she's going to be undersized now because Manon's pretty big for this division. But she's also stronger than Rose, and she has very good takedown defense. And I'm gonna give you a hot take. If anyone land takedowns in this fight, it's gonna be Manon. It's not gonna be Rose. People think the opposite. She needs to be careful because I don't want her to end in a bad scramble and get submitted, because it might be a path for Rose, but I don't think it happened at a pretty high clip. And also Rose head kick, it's a little bit is something she needs to worry about, because I've seen her take like 2 or 3 good head kicks. Manon, she ate the Jennifer Maia head kick right on the chin, clean as day, and she took it. Everything's all right. She went back to it like nothing happened. That was crazy. You know what I mean? Did you see that? The head kick. She ate it. Bang. All right, I'm back in the fight. Nothing happened. I love her volume. I think the difference in this fight is going to be the fact that she's bigger, she's stronger. To me, she's a better fighter. She's a better striker. Excuse me. And the difference on the feet is going to be the volume. She's going to have more volume than Rose. Rose going to have a slight speed advantage, but I think the volume of Manon is going to make the difference. And also, if we talk about the being in France, the crowd's going to react again. And if the rounds are close, might be close, Manon's going to land more volume, and the crowd's going to react every shot she lands. So I think she wins the fight 30-27, unanimous. So, like I said, I have a big bet on this fight. I probably Manon minus 188 with Adesanya that's fighting next week, minus 115, 5 units, bang. That's how I did it. And also, I did play Manon minus 3.5 plus 200. That was crazy, bro. I was looking at the line. I was like, is that something I'm not understanding correctly about this bet? To me, it doesn't make sense. So I bet this plus 200. The line is what? Minus 125 right now? I think something like that.
Not too sure.
I think
scroll down here and see.
I can get it now. Oh, I don't think we have it on Fight Odds. It's probably on.
Not.
Oh, it's all good. But yeah, I got it like plus 200. That was a crazy line. Like I said, out of 12 rounds, she won 11 rounds in the UFC, unanimous. Like, what do you want more of this girl? And she fought good competition. Like, Bruno Silva's about to fight for a belt. Richie's on a massive win streak. And Maya's a former title challenger, doing good recently. And Chookagian's like, she's number one. She was number one for a long time, beating all the up-and-comers. So Manon is legit. She's legit, in my opinion. And she's going to win this fight pretty easily. And I love her a lot in this spot. I think she should be minus 250.
You know what? I can't say too much against you there. I am picking Filiot as well. I don't have the same level of confidence as you do, just because of the, like you said, it's so hard to look past the high level experience, the attributes for Rose. Like I said, gun to my head, I'm picking Filiot as well, but like the volume is definitely there. That the speed for Rose is there, and really, Caitlin Chookagian attempted 286 strikes. If you give that same opportunity to Rose, Rose can also look to win in the scorecards. And I don't disagree with you at all. I think that Filiot is going to be the one landing takedowns at a higher rate here. I don't think Rose is going to go for them at all. You just have to hope that Filiot does enough with her physicality, with the crowd behind her, to have some success. My fear is also the fact that like Rose is so quick transition to the back. I think the major win condition for Rose is a submission. Don't think it happens too often, but I don't mind looking at that line. Instead, I think the decision equity, the size, the physicality, the takedown upside, the more impactful shots goes to Filiot. If you're backing Rose, you're more so relying on a volume-based decision, using her speed striking or her to hop on something opportunistic. Not possible. Not something I would rely on. I do have a clip. A very interesting matchup. One that I'll pick Filiot, not with the same confidence as Dravy, but Dravy did come with a ton of confidence there. So if you're agreeing with him, you're in good hands there. Nice play you locked up early. Make sure you're checking out your Telegram. You posted that on, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I forget to talk about it, but I have a Telegram where I post my early bets and with early breakdowns also.
Well, with that, we are at the main event. We do have the 11-2 Frenchman Cyril Gane, 16-3 Sergey Spivac. Main event. Hit the like button down below. Subscribe to the channel. Wow. Fun fight. Very binary. It seems to be one where you can just break it down into two sections, right? Sergey Spivac has the on-paper route to success, right? He has the ability to take down Cyril Gane the same way that Jones did, the same way that Ngannou did. And from his back, Cyril looked like he didn't have any path to get up. He seemed like he couldn't really fight against much adversity. And if you're going to go out to get there against someone like Sergey Spivac, who is as dynamic as he is, it doesn't seem like a good recipe for success. Now, with that being said, there's a lot more factors we have to take into consideration here, let alone the fact that the far more superior striker is Gane in front of his home crowd, and Sergey Spivac is not John Jones. There's a lot of things to take into account. But when we're looking at just a pure grappler who have just 5.05 takedowns landed per 15 minutes versus a guy who only has a 45% takedown defense, it seems like on paper, you have a guy in Sergey Spivac who is going to be able to take down Ciryl Gane early, able to land some ground and pound, and he is very dominant from top position. The question is, can he get him out of there? Because if not, it's going to be Gane with a better cardio, Gane with a better striking offense, and it's going to be the much better striker as the fight goes on. Additionally, we've seen Spivac, when he shows up to the big stage, he's crumbled under pressure. He was knocked out early by Aspinall, knocked early by Walt Harris, fought really close to Alexei Oleinik. There are holes in his game that can be exploited. And my fear in this matchup is, although Sergey Spivac has the on-paper path to victory, Gane is only losing the best of the best. He's going to be the far superior striker, and he doesn't have a competent enough defensive ground game to alleviate some of the pressure from Spivac and take over the fight goes on. Immediately in my mind, what I'm thinking, it's either Sergey Spivac early or Gane late. With that being said, Ciryl Gane is also someone who has finishing potential early on, considering the durability compared to Sergey Spivac. Seems to be a very fun matchup. I think, gun to my head, I have to pick Ciryl Gane because he's more proven in these 5-round main events. But on DraftKings, I'm all over Sergey Spivac, right? 7.5K as the underdog. Super, super fun matchup. I'm excited to hear your thoughts on that. I have a feeling you're taking the Frenchman here.
Yeah, I do, bro. You know, Ciryl is a very good fighter. People tend to forget now because he lost to John Jones and Francis Ngannou. Like,
yeah.
Who do you want to lose against people that are not that, like, they're like the greatest, you know? I mean, Ngannou's not the greatest, but he was the greatest heavyweight at this point. And yeah, he kind of he got exposed with his wrestling. But I don't think his wrestling is as bad as what people think, to be honest, Gordo. I think it's a weakness. I think he need to work on it, but it's not as bad as what people are saying. Like, he got caught in the moments against John Jones. He said it himself. He said that the game plan was to use the jab, stay at distance, don't overthrow, stay disciplined. And he said, what I did, I threw a big punch and I paid for it right away. He knew that's not what he was supposed to do, but he did it. He got caught in the moment. Biggest stage of his life against John Jones. He was not ready for it. But, like, dude, this guy's striking is the top. That's top notch. Like, his footwork, his distance management, his arsenal on the feet. It just, the way he elbows, the way he knees, the way he uses jab, everything's perfect. Like, to me, he's one of, if not the best heavyweight striker we have ever seen. That's how high I am on Ciryl striking. Does he have weaknesses? Yeah, everybody has. He needs to work on the takedown defense. He needs to work on the ground game, for sure. Yeah. But to me, in this fight, the winner's going to look like minus 500. I think the winner's going to look a big favorite. And the problem I have with Spivac, I think he's a good fighter. I love his wrestling. I love his grappling, his ground and pound. I think he's solid, but his striking is not it, Gordo. Like, the striking is not it, and he doesn't have a good chin either. Like, I think that if he's not able to get the first or the second takedown he's trying, he's gonna fall. I'm pretty sure he will, because it's not a competitive fight on the ground, but it's also not a competitive fight on the feet. So it's classic striker versus grappler. But you have Gane fighting at home, all the fans supporting him in the big cage, using amazing footwork to move. And Spivac gonna try to take him down early. I like, this fight gonna go like that. All right, I'm calling it right now. Spivac gonna go for takedown. He's not gonna get it. He's gonna try for another one. He's not gonna get it. And then Cyryl's gonna piece him up bad, and he's gonna try to find a way out. He's gonna shoot another takedown. He's not gonna get it. He's gonna get finished. This fight is gonna end early. But that's how I see it. What I did here, I play Ciryl money line minus 165. I play his KO plus 160, and I'm high on him. Like, that, to me, that's just a spot where he's gonna shine. The UFC giving him a good spot in Paris. They want him to win to get back on track. And Ciryl Gane versus Tom Aspinall, that's the fight I want. Like, I want this fight. I'm extremely high on Tom Aspinall as well, and that's the fight like everybody wants to see. Give me that fight right now. So yeah, I'm picking Gane to win. I think he do it by KO in the first round.
Yeah, the thing with Spivac is he's so one-dimensional. If he can't get those takedowns, additionally, we haven't really seen his cardio tested too much. There are so many red flags around this one. My breakdown says the same, though. If he can't get him out of there early, he is going to struggle. But I do think he has the possibility to get him out of there early. I'm not counting that out. I do think Spivac is dangerous early on. He has the on-paper path to victory. And for that reason, he's a very, very viable DraftKings target. I'll look towards targeting him there. However, I do think the fight
is a good option. Very good option.
He is. And I do think that he has a good chance for this fight to end inside the distance. I might play it that way. Maybe parlay with Shahriat a bit because we did talk about how much we love Morgan Shahriat earlier. But very fun matchup. I'm looking forward to it. Should be a fun one and a fun overall card. But an hour and 20 minutes in, we have covered every single fight from top to bottom. It seems like one where we have agreed on a bunch of them as well. And we're definitely showing some French love for sure. As we do here on the Plays of Fate YouTube channel, though, we're just going to quickly go over our quick picks for every single fight. I'll go over mine first as you prepare yours here. We are going to be taking, man, I think I picked Spivac in my video, but it's gun to my head. I think I have to go Cyril Gane. However, on DraftKings, we're playing Spivac, Manon Ferriot, Benoit Saint-Denis, Volkan Ozdemir, William Gomis, Morgan Charrière, Taylor Lapilus, Jacqueline Cavalcante, even though I kind of I'm tempted on playing Zara Farron on DraftKings.
Yeah, she has first round
50-50 fight. Yes. First round upside for sure, and bigger fighter. I'm tempted on Nora Cornell, but I think I'll take Edwards, Angelusa, Farid Basharat. What about yourself?
We have a pretty similar card, Gordo. I have Silgan, Manon Ferriot, Benoit Saint-Denis, Volkan Ozdemir, William Gomis, Morgan Charrière, Taylor Lapilus, Angelusa, Jocelyn Edwards, Farid Basharat, and Jacqueline Cavalcante.
Fun stuff. And with that, guys, that is going to do it for us here on the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Make sure to hit the like button down below, subscribe to the channel, show some love to Dravy, and let them know where they can find you, my friend. I appreciate you coming on the show, breaking down some fights, spitting some knowledge. I appreciate you, and I wish you the best luck this weekend. Let everybody know where they can find you. Yeah,
that was fun, bro. Thanks for having me. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, Dravy_. You can also follow Beatline Broadcast on Twitter. That's the show I have every Wednesday with two of my boys. We bring down the fight as a betting perspective. And you can also find my Telegram on my Twitter directly. So yeah, let's have something. I hope the French win, and let's get this money, Gordo.
Let's do it, guys. Make sure to check out my full card DraftKings breakdown, which is on my YouTube channel as well. Timestamp for your viewing pleasure. Betting card, however big it is, will be out tomorrow. Also, make sure to check out Daily Fan MMA for all my premium content, including write-ups, full card breakdown, DraftKings podcast, and projections as well. Very fun card. I appreciate you breaking it down with me. An hour and 21 minutes in. That's going to do it for us here in the Plays of Fate YouTube channel. Wish everyone the best of luck tomorrow, guys. Let's make some money. Peace.